Throwaway because some of my friends use Reddit and I'm not ready for this to blow back on me. I'm 32M, my wife is 30F. We've been married for 6 years, together for almost 10. For the longest time, I genuinely thought we were solid. Not perfect, sure, we argued about dumb stuff like chores, money, her being late to literally everything, but nothing that felt fatal. Looking back now, I think the cracks started about a year ago. She got sharper. Not just bad mood sharp, but like, everything I said annoyed her. I'd ask a normal question and get a sarcastic answer. I'd try to talk about my day and she'd scroll her phone, barely listening. If I pushed, she'd snap, "Can you not right now," like I was the problem. At first I blamed stress. She had just switched jobs, said her new boss was insane, her words, and that everyone there was fake. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But then the lying started. Small things. Like saying she was working late, but I'd see her active on social media at a bar. When I asked, she'd immediately flip it. "Wow, you're checking up on me now?" Or, "It was just a quick drink with coworkers, why are you making it weird?" Every time I questioned something, I somehow ended up apologizing. There was also the shift in how she treated her phone. Before, it was just there. Now, always face down. Always locked. Took it with her everywhere, bathroom, shower, even when grabbing something from the car. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But I kept telling myself, don't be that paranoid husband. So I ignored it. And honestly, that was my first mistake. After the receipt, something in my brain just flipped. It wasn't like I suddenly turned into some full-on detective overnight, but I couldn't unsee things anymore. Every weird detail I had brushed off before started lining up in a way that made me uncomfortable. Her schedule made less and less sense. She'd say she had meetings, but wouldn't take calls at home anymore. If her phone rang, she'd step into another room. Sometimes she'd decline calls and immediately text instead. And the texting, it was constant. Not normal texting. Not checking in with a friend texting. This was rapid, non-stop, locked screen, half-smiling at the phone texting. The kind where you tilt the screen away without even thinking about it. One night I walked behind her while she was on the couch and she physically flinched. Like I'd caught her doing something wrong. I just said, "Relax, I was grabbing my charger." She shot back immediately. "I am relaxed. Why are you being weird?" That's how it always went. Everything got flipped back on me. But here's the thing that really got under my skin, she started rewriting reality. She'd tell me she mentioned something when she didn't. She'd deny saying things I clearly remembered. She'd twist conversations until I was second-guessing myself. At one point I actually sat there thinking, am I losing it? And I hate admitting that. Then came another small thing that didn't feel small. Her location. We used to share locations on our phones, not in a controlling way, just convenience. Grocery runs, safety, whatever. It had always been on. One day I checked, again, not even intentionally suspicious, just habit, and hers was off. When I asked, "Oh my God, my phone updated or something." It probably reset. "Why do you even care?" She didn't turn it back on. I didn't push. But at that point, deep down, I think I already knew. I just didn't have proof yet. And for some reason, I still thought maybe there was another explanation. There wasn't. I wish I could say there was one big dramatic moment where it all became obvious. There wasn't. It was messier than that. But there was a night where something inside me just clicked. It was a Thursday. I remember because I had an early meeting the next morning and told her I'd probably go to bed early. She said she'd be working late again and not to wait up. Around 10:30 p.m., I got this weird gut feeling. No reason. Just that uncomfortable, restless energy you can't explain. I tried to ignore it. Watched some random show, scrolled my phone, even tried to sleep. Didn't work. So I checked her location out of habit, and then remembered it was still off. That should have been the end of it. But instead, I did something I hadn't done before. I opened social media. Not hers, she'd been posting less anyway. I checked people from her work. Names she'd mentioned. Accounts I barely paid attention to before. And then I saw it. A story. Some guy from her office. I recognized him from a company event months ago. Didn't think much of him back then. In the video, it was clearly a bar. Loud, crowded. Music in the background. And for a split second, literally a second, I saw her. Laughing. Leaning way too close to him. Not coworker close. Not even friend close. The kind of close you don't question if you're seeing it with your own eyes. My stomach just dropped. I replayed it like 5 times, trying to convince myself I was misreading it. That maybe it was the angle. The lighting. Anything. But no. It was her. And she definitely wasn't working late. I texted her. Simple. Hey, how's work going? She replied almost instantly. Still at the office. Super busy. Probably home late. I just stared at my phone. That was the moment denial died. Not because of the video. But because she lied so easily while I was literally looking at the truth. I didn't confront her right then. I just sat there in the dark, phone in my hand, feeling something shift from confusion into something colder. I needed to know how deep this went. And for the first time, I was ready to actually find out. I didn't sleep that night. Not even close. I just kept replaying everything in my head, the lies, the attitude, the way she'd been treating me like I was the problem for months. And now this. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately. Just send the video and be like, explain this. But another part of me, the part that had been getting lied to over and over, knew exactly how that would go. She'd deny it. Minimize it. Twist it somehow until I was the one apologizing again. I needed more than a moment. I needed context. Proof I couldn't be talked out of. And yeah. I'm not proud of what I did next. But I went through her stuff. The next morning, she left early, said she had an important meeting. Didn't even say goodbye, just rushed out. As soon as I heard the door close, I just stood there for a minute, heart pounding like I was about to do something illegal. Then I went to the bedroom. Her laptop was on the desk. I knew the password. We'd never hidden that stuff before, or at least, I hadn't. When it opened, everything felt normal. Desktop, files, work stuff. For a second I almost felt stupid. Then I opened her messages. Nothing. Clean. Too clean. No weird chats. No suspicious names. It actually made me doubt myself again for a second. But then I noticed something, her browser. Multiple profiles. One of them wasn't labeled. Just a default icon. I clicked it. Different email. One I'd never seen before. My chest tightened immediately. I opened the inbox. And there it was. Not subtle. Not maybe. Not something I could explain away. Long message threads. Flirting. Inside jokes. Plans. Photos. And not just random photos, intimate ones. The kind you don't send unless there's something very real going on. It wasn't just physical. It had been going on for months. Maybe longer. And the worst part? The way she talked about me. Like I was some inconvenience. Some boring, predictable guy she was stuck with. I actually had to sit down. I remember just staring at the screen, feeling this mix of nausea, anger, and something else I can't even describe. Like my entire reality had been quietly replaced and I was just now catching up. That's when I knew this wasn't a rough patch. This was something else entirely. And I couldn't pretend anymore. I stayed there way longer than I should have. Scrolling. Reading. Hurting myself with every new detail. At some point it stops being finding out the truth and starts feeling like self-inflicted damage, but I couldn't stop. I needed to understand how bad it really was. And it was bad. They weren't just flirting. They had routines. Inside jokes. Plans that went weeks back. Specific dates lined up almost perfectly with every working late night, every team dinner, every time she brushed me off like I was annoying her. There were messages like, "Last night was worth the lie, lol." And, "He has no idea, it's actually kind of sad." That one, yeah. That one stuck. I felt this wave of anger hit me so hard I had to stand up and walk away from the desk. I actually paced around the room like I didn't know what to do with myself. But I came back. Because part of me still hoped, stupidly, that maybe I was misreading something. I wasn't. I needed a break. Not because I was done. But because I couldn't take any more. I already knew enough. More than enough. And now I had to figure out what the hell I was going to do with it. For the rest of that day, I didn't text her. Not once. She sent a couple of normal messages, "Busy day, might be late again, did you eat?" Like everything was completely fine. Reading them after what I'd seen felt surreal. Like I was talking to two different people. The version of her in those messages, and the one I had just discovered. I didn't respond right away. When I did, I kept it neutral. Short. No emotion. Because at that point, I wasn't trying to catch her anymore. I already had. Now I was thinking about what came next. And here's the part that surprised me the most: I wasn't as explosive as I thought I'd be. No yelling. No dramatic confrontation. No calling her out on the spot. Just cold. For the first time in months, I felt clear-headed. I started thinking practically. I took screenshots. Everything I could. Conversations, dates, the trip plans, even the parts where she talked about me. I sent them to myself, backed them up, made sure there was no way they could just disappear. It felt calculated. Detached. And honestly, that scared me a little. Because this was someone I loved. Or at least, someone I thought I loved. And now I was treating the situation like a case file. At one point, I caught myself thinking, is this really my life right now? Meanwhile, she kept texting like nothing was wrong. At around 7 p.m., she said, "Don't wait up, probably another late one, weary face." I actually laughed when I read that. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. So easy for her. That's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her immediately. Not yet. I wanted to see how far she'd go. How deep the lying actually ran when I knew the truth. Part of me needed to hear it directly from her. No screenshots. No guessing. Just her words. So I played along. And yeah. I know some people are going to say that was messed up. But after everything I just seen? I needed that final confirmation. I needed to hear her lie to my face one more time. She got home close to 1 a.m. I was awake, sitting in the living room with the TV on low. I didn't even pretend to be asleep. She walked in, saw me, and paused for a second like she didn't expect me to be there. Then immediately, "Oh, you're still up?" Her tone was casual. Too casual. I just nodded. "Yeah. Couldn't sleep. How was work?" And without missing a beat. Ugh, exhausting. We were stuck in meetings forever. I'm so done with this week. She dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes, acting like it was just another normal night. I was just watching her. Every movement. Every word. Knowing exactly where she'd actually been. I asked, "Meetings that go past midnight now?" She rolled her eyes instantly. Can we not do this? I already told you, we grabbed drinks after. With the team. There it was. The adjusted version. Not the full truth, just enough to sound reasonable. I kept my voice calm. Who was there? That's when she hesitated. Just for a second. But I saw it. Then she started listing names. Coworkers I'd heard before. Some real, probably. And then she added his name like it was no big deal. Like he was just another person. That hit differently. I asked, "You seem to spend a lot of time with him lately." Instant mode. Oh my God, here we go. He's on my team. I have to spend time with him. That's how work works. The tone sharp, dismissive, like I was stupid for even bringing it up. Same pattern. Always the same pattern. I nodded slowly. Right. There was this silence for a moment. And then she said something that I didn't expect. If you're going to keep acting like this, maybe you should ask yourself why you don't trust me. That one flipped something in me. Because at that point, it wasn't confusion anymore. It wasn't doubt. I knew. And she was still standing there, looking me in the eye, turning it back on me like I was the issue. I just said, "Yeah, maybe I should." And I left it there. No yelling. No accusations. But inside? Something shut off. Completely. After that, the room just felt different. Like whatever illusion she was still holding on to started cracking, but she still refused to let it fall completely apart. She switched tactics again. Not denial, now reframing. "You've been distant too," she said, softer this time. "You're not exactly perfect in all this either." I just stared at her. That was new. Not "this didn't happen." Not "you misunderstood." But we're both responsible for what I did. I said, "So you cheating was my fault?" She immediately reacted. I didn't say that. But she kind of did. Then she started listing things. Small things from months ago. Moments where I was stressed, tired, distracted. Times I worked late myself. Like she was building a case. It was surreal watching it. Because none of it matched what I had just seen. At all. And yet she was speaking like she believed it. "I just felt alone," she added. "You weren't really present lately." I remember nodding slowly again. Not because I agreed. But because I finally understood the pattern. This wasn't about truth. It was about survival. For her version of reality. I said, "You could have talked to me." She scoffed. I tried. That one made me pause. Because I knew that wasn't true. Or at least not in any meaningful way. Then she softened her tone again, almost like she was trying to reset the conversation. "We can fix this," she said. It was a mistake. It got out of hand. That phrase, "got out of hand," bothered me more than anything else. Like it just happened to her. Like she didn't actively choose it over and over again. I stood up from the table. Not angrily. Just done sitting. "I saw you," I said. "There's nothing to fix in what you're saying. Because you're not even telling the truth about it." She looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable now. And that's when I realized something important. She wasn't going to admit it in any way that actually acknowledged what she did. Not fully. Not honestly. And definitely not in a way that would help me move forward. So I stopped trying to get it from her. After that, everything turned surprisingly procedural. No more emotional talks. No more arguing late at night. Just quiet coordination around a life that was clearly splitting in two. She brought up separation first, almost carefully. "I think we should figure out living arrangements," she said one evening like she was discussing furniture placement. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I messed up." Just logistics. I nodded. Okay. That was it. And somehow that was the moment it became real in a different way. We started dividing things in the most sterile, uncomfortable manner imaginable. Who keeps what gets sold, what gets moved? It felt like dismantling a shared project rather than a marriage. At one point, she actually asked, "Do we really need to involve lawyers?" Like this was optional. I just looked at her and said, "Probably yes." That was the first time I saw something like frustration mixed with regret on her face. Not regret for what happened. More like regret that it wasn't going to stay contained between us. Meanwhile, she still tried small rewrites of the story. Not directly anymore, more subtle. Telling friends things like we grew apart. That we were in different places. That it just didn't work out. I found out later from someone who didn't realize I already knew everything. That part was weird too, realizing how carefully she was shaping the narrative outside of what actually happened. Inside the apartment, the distance grew fast. We stopped eating together. Stopped talking unless it was necessary. Even the sound of her coming and going started to feel like background noise. And then one night, she packed a bag. Not a dramatic exit. No announcement. Just clothes, charger, a few essentials. "I'll stay somewhere else for a while," she said. I didn't stop her. And when the door closed behind her, I sat there for a long time realizing something simple. This wasn't an ending that exploded. It was one that slowly stopped including me. After she left, the apartment felt too big. Not in a poetic way, just empty in a way that made everyday sounds louder. The fridge hum, the pipes ignite, the random creaks I'd never noticed before. At first I thought I'd feel relief. I didn't. Mostly, I felt drained. Like I had been holding my breath for months and only just realized it. We still had contact, practical stuff. Lawyers, shared accounts, moving schedules. Everything reduced to emails and short messages that sounded like two strangers trying not to make things worse than they already were. She never really came back to the truth version of things. Even at the end, her story stayed the same. We were broken, she made mistakes, things just happened, and I wasn't there. I stopped arguing it. Not because I agreed. Because I finally understood it didn't matter for my next step. The divorce process made everything concrete in a way emotions couldn't. Papers. Dates. Assets. Signatures. No more reinterpretation. No more shifting explanations. Just facts on paper. There were moments I still got hit with anger. Other moments with sadness I didn't expect. And sometimes just nothing. Flatness. What surprised me most was realizing I wasn't thinking about winning anything anymore. Not proving I was right. Not exposing her further. Not getting closure from her explanations. That version of me faded somewhere between the hotel parking lot and the last conversation in the apartment. What stayed was simpler. I couldn't stay in something built on constant dishonesty, no matter how long I tried to justify it. And the lesson that stuck with me wasn't dramatic either. It was this: when someone shows you a pattern over and over, you don't need a final confession to trust what you've already seen. You just need to stop ignoring it. If there's one thing I tell someone in a similar situation, it's that clarity usually comes before acceptance, not after it. And waiting for a perfect explanation often just keeps you stuck in something that's already over. That's where I am now. Not healed in some clean way. Just forward. Finally.